Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome into Best on the Board here at The Athletic. We've got a first time ever, 4 people on the show for you all at once. This should be fun. Michael Beller, Andrew DeWitt, Dan Santaremita, Ari Wasserman talking you through the remaining bowls that are still ahead of us in college football bowl season. Obviously, the biggest ones still in front of us. We are going to talk through the betting angles of as many of these as we possibly can and hopefully have a little bit of fun and make a little bit of money along the way as we are talking our way through it. So I'm just going to go one by one. Ari Wasserman, what's up, man? How you doing?
You know, I'm living the dream. Always living the dream
Always.
Sleeping would be the dream, and I'm not sleeping the dream. So we got a constipated baby and a dad who needs a winner. So let's get this going here.
Constipated baby is like a great name for a gambler. Like, man, constipated baby over here. I need to hit one. Let's make some money along the way today. Dan Santaremita, what's up, my friend?
I feel like bowl season has started. I know not everyone's going to listen to this the day we record it, but December 28th, we got 5 games today. They're actually theoretically probably going to happen. I'm probably distracted. I got my shoulder here. I got a Ari Wasserman special live betting a game here.
What are we on? Hold on. Let me open my window real quick.
Yeah, are we talking Houston and Auburn here?
Yeah. I got Auburn plus 4, and they're now up 3. So good times.
Oh,
we'll see.
I thought I was able.
Of course, this is again. Everyone's gonna know if I won or lost already by the time they listen to this. But yeah.
But it's
so
good. You can feel the sweat still while it's happening.
Yeah, I feel like bowl season has arrived because we're not watching 6-6 MAC Sunbelt games.
Buddy, you know what I would do? I would hit Houston 2-1 right now and hope for a middle. But
yeah. I'm in a group chat for betting, and my friend did the exact same thing. I'm like, all right, well, we're fading each other. Let's see what happens.
All right, you got some time to get in there, Dan. You get in it right now. Andrew DeWitt, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing. Live betting terrifies me, so that's good. I'm just gonna stay away from that game. But also the delay, they got to figure that out. We got to figure out this delay in streaming and TV and versus live and all that stuff. We got to figure this out quickly.
There's a lot of money to be made in figuring it out, I feel like. Right? If the first like betting app that figures out getting rid of any sorts of delay could really make a big jump forward, I feel like, in terms of users.
So what happens is you're watching your live betting odds and they change abruptly.
And they try to get it in,
but you don't know. Like, I know what happened with something big happened one way before. I mean, we're already a minute behind cable as it is. So like sometimes I'll be like looking at the live odds in a game that I'm just tracking, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh well, they scored. And then I like wait 3.5 minutes and then see what happened,
Yeah. You do often see it update on your app on whatever you're using to bet before you see it happen on the TV.
Yeah.
And that's that's something to be that's one of the many things that we can get into on Best on the Board here, guys. But a lot of games to talk about. As I said, we're going to get into like the biggest games that are still in front of us here. But you can bring up anything. We this is really a free for all. We're trying this out. Really, just a free for all, moving around. We'll hit this game. We'll hit the Rose Bowl. Does Ohio State care? Doesn't really seem like it. We'll hit the Fiesta. We'll hit the semifinals. We're going to get to all of these games, get through them, talk about all the betting angles. If you got to play, throw it out there. We'll debate it around. If you got a prop, a total, whatever it might be, we're going to talk about all of these. You guys want to start with the semifinals, or you want to build up to the semifinals?
Can I say something? Does anybody even realize that those games are like in 2 days?
I know. I actually
this
did
has
it,
been the
to be honest.
Flattest bowl season of all time. You want to know why? Because everybody in college football wants parity until they get it. And then they get parity, and then these games suck, and nobody cares.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to have to make some money on them, because I'm excited to see a group of 5 team get steamrolled in the semifinal, like they were Oklahoma against LSU a few years ago. So,
oh my God! Well,
if you don't know what side I'm on,
let's start right there. So there we go. We'll just jump right in. We won't even build up to it. We'll just start with what is the Cotton Bowl side of the CFP semifinals. Alabama and Cincinnati right now at BetMGM. Alabama 13.5-point favorites, and total is 57.5. I was going to ask this question, so clearly Ari is not going to be someone who wants to make this case. DeWitt, Dan, do either of you want to make a case for Cincinnati in this game?
No way.
I'm not talking about winning. I'm talking about just beating the 13.5-point spread.
No. I think it's an important half point, though. If it goes to 14 or 14.5, you might be able to sell me on it. But, I mean, yeah, I'm with Ari. Look, and I remember we did the conference title games, and I had the over in the SC title game when you guys let probably means Alabama's going to win. And well, look what happened with Alabama in that game. The over was huge. I just, don't bet against Nick Saban on a neutral field with time to prepare, with a more talented roster, yada, yada, all those things.
More talented. It's number 1 talent rankings in the country, and Cincinnati is 54.
So, more talented.
I'll throw this out there. Why is this line not grown from 13.5? When this line came out, I immediately bet it. I was like, oh, this line's going to like 15, 16, 17. And I was like, I'll just wait until a month from now and I'll see what happens. 92% of the money at BetMGM is on Alabama. Why is this line not moved? That is super fishy, stinky. What like that's, I'm just trying to think through the process there of like, why is this line not grown any? Because it hasn't moved
here's
a
what
half
you can
point
do.
since it opened.
You can lay the 14, and then when Cincinnati's up 7-0 in the second quarter, you can get Bama -4.5, and then triple it, and then hope to hit both. It's like the thing that I think is interesting about this game is that like Cincinnati, unfortunately, has been dealt the hand where they have to be the one that like carries the crown for the entire group of 5, and like it's like their responsibility to either legitimize or make us stop talking about whether or not group of 5 teams belong in the playoff field. And that's kind of a lot to bear. And like, I think everybody wants this to be a Rudy movie and it feel good Disney like channel. And it's just like the athletes on Alabama's team are so insanely better than anything that they've seen this year, even better than Notre Dame. And they're at every single position. And like, I know that Des Ritter's really good and Ford's really good, who's an Alabama transfer. And they've got some dudes on Cincinnati's defense, the Thorpe Award winners in their defense. Like, I get it. But this game, like on the lines, and this is like, I don't know if this is a good time to bring up a prop, but like,
do it.
The games like this are won and lost in the third quarter when Cincinnati's defensive line is gassed and Alabama's offensive line is just out athleticisming them for 3.5 quarters. Like, and then their defensive line, it's just like rolling in. So Des Ritter, I think's prop for passing is 260.5. I like the under there. I think he averaged 245 a game this year. And it's like, to me, that 260 is like an implication that Alabama's going to get up big early and that he's just going to be throwing the ball all over the place. But like, I think Alabama's going to control the line of scrimmages on both sides of the ball. And I don't think that Cincinnati's going to get to that point. So like, I would take the under in passing yards there as well. Like, I'm like fading Cincinnati in every sense of the way.
So if we're feeling this confident about this, is this among the games that are still left?
It means it's a loser. That's what it means.
Is this like is Alabama? I mean, Ari, is Alabama -13.5 your favorite bet among the remaining games?
No. I think Georgia's going to beat the crap out of Michigan too.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So
and I think that's one
New Year's Eve SEC day,
and that's one where the line is actually moving the other direction. Like, I think people believe, like, isn't more money on Michigan right now?
68%.
68% of the money's on Michigan.
68% on Michigan. What's the bet split on that, DeWitt?
It was like 55-45. I have it up right here. 74% of the bets are on Michigan and it's at +8 right now at BetMGM. So
and 68% of the money.
Yeah.
Oh, let's throw out a little caveat that I know Michigan is a huge BetMGM state, so I'm pretty sure there's a bias in those numbers. I wouldn't use those in any useful way.
Yeah, yep. That's a good point. But
explain to me, like, Michigan's entire game plan. Like, I still can't believe they beat Ohio State, and I lost a lot of money. I
remember texting with you during that game
because I got it live. Like, I didn't bet it before the game because I knew the number was fishy. But like, I got like 2-1 in the third quarter, and I got even money in the second quarter, and I still cannot believe like how that game played out. Michigan cannot win a football game like that against Georgia. Like Cade McNamara, if you go back to the Michigan-Ohio State game, didn't have to make one single throw in that entire game to win that football game. They're not going to be running Hassan Haskins down Georgia's defense's throat.
Yep.
So like, to me, I don't know what's the number on the, it's 45.5. Like, I like the under on that too. Like, I think that this is like a 24-10 type game.
Yeah.
Because I think Michigan's defense is also, I mean, they got the best defensive lineman potentially in the country and the other one's on the other team. So, and the one thing I would be a little bit afraid of is I think Georgia's going to be playing a little grab ass with their quarterback. And I wonder what that's going to look like. I just don't see how Michigan scores 24 points against this defense.
Dan, DeWitt, either of you guys like Michigan in this game?
I'm not as confident as Ari. I do think 24-10 really sounds possible. Like we've seen, like you said, I think you even said on the show or maybe on one of the other like 7 podcasts you're on, Ari, but the way Georgia sucks the life out of teams, I feel like they could easily do that to Michigan where it doesn't feel like they dominate them. And then all of a sudden the game is out of reach because the other team just like can't do anything anymore. I am a little concerned. I remember from watching that Georgia game against Alabama, the way that Alabama beat him. Now, again, Cade McNamara can't do the things Bryce Young did to Georgia's defense. I don't think the receiving core is as dangerous as Alabama's in terms of the big explosive plays we saw in that game. But I also feel like I had this lingering thought about Georgia where it's like, who did they actually play? Who was any good? I mean, the SC East is really not good this year, right? After Georgia, do you feel anyone is a legit strong team like Kentucky? And I mean, Florida was a total bust.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit worried, but obviously Clemson way down. So I was like, I wonder if some of the dominance we saw was, just schedule and Michigan should be the second best team Georgia's played. Right. So I don't know. I mean, I like the under probably better than I like Georgia -8. But yeah, I really.
Let's be real though. Michigan is much more like Florida and Kentucky than they are like Alabama.
Yeah. But probably a better version, right?
Yeah, a much better version potentially, but they don't have offense. The type of offensive firepower that Alabama has, it would take Michigan 10 recruiting classes to match that. So it's just, can Cade McNamara make a throw when they need him to make a first down throw in the first quarter? Can people get separation? Is Hassan Haskins going to rush for 200 yards? He had 5 touchdowns against Ohio State. Ohio State's just a soft team this year, but I don't think Georgia's a soft team. I just don't think it's a very good matchup for Michigan.
This also is, you can't make a 1-for-1 comparison when you're talking about what I'm about to talk about in college versus the NFL, but it is something worth, I think, pointing out with Georgia that, sure, maybe it wasn't the strongest SEC East schedule that they've ever faced down over the last decade or so. But I mean, look at these: 56-7, 40-13, 62-0, 37-0, 34-10, 30-13, 34-7, 43-6, 41-17. They're destroying teams, right? And so we talked about this. Me and DeWitt talked about this a few weeks ago with the Patriots and the win streak they were on before that got snapped. And they were playing a bunch of relatively soft teams, but they were beating them all by 20 or 24 or 17 points. And that's exactly what Georgia did this year too. So I think there's something to be said for the margin of victory that they're putting up against these maybe softer SEC teams than what we've seen in years past, but still SEC teams.
What do you think the spread would have been in the Georgia Michigan game if it were November 14th before they lost to Alabama?
Honestly, I think about this. Maybe a little more. 9.5. I don't know if it would. I don't know if it pushes up
before they lost to Bama.
You think it pushes up to all the way to 2 touchdowns?
I think that our entire viewpoint of the way that Georgia plays the game right now is altered by what happened against Alabama, which, as we all have known, if we've been on earth for the past 10 years, is very typical when you play Alabama. I think that I was ready to hand Georgia the national championship trophy. Like I would hand deliver it like a month ago.
Yeah.
And then they played Alabama, and it's like now they're the 4th best team in the playoff. Get out of here. They're going to kick Michigan's ass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be great if Michigan won. It'd be, like new blood parity. Like I don't want to see Alabama, Georgia in the championship. How cool would it be if there was an Alabama, Michigan or a Cincinnati, Michigan championship game? I think we all would like to see it, but the writing's on the wall here. The 2 most talented teams in college football are Alabama and Georgia. What do you think the championship's going to be?
I think it's going to be Alabama and Georgia. Anyone think it's going to not be Alabama and Georgia?
The only thing that scares me is just like Kirby Smart, and it's always just a factor that comes into my mind. Kirby Smart in big games. Jim Harbaugh's had a month to prepare. Just throwing it out there.
Jim Harbaugh in big games, huge track record of success there. Yeah, and I know that everything is different.
NFC Championship game 2012, whatever year that was.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. They just beat Ohio State and they won the Big Ten. They finally did it. But if you take the totality of Jim Harbaugh's results in big games, I think he's like 1-13.
2. The NFC Championship game.
Oh, if you're giving him the NFL stats, then he gets a win for every playoff game that year.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was like 3 wins. So
okay,
boom.
so now he's 3-15.
Yeah, we got to throw the Super Bowl loss in there.
Yeah.
Also, all right, let's stick in the Big Ten for a second. OSU down to a 4.5-point favorite against Utah in the Rose Bowl. 64 is the total over at BetMGM. We were joking around before we got going here, and we're just going to throw it out there. Ari, what were you saying about this game before we got going?
Wanted to go around the horn here and just like give a rating from 1 to 10 on the give a shit meter of how much you think that Ohio State cares about being at the Rose Bowl this year.
I'm going to say
with 2. Half their team opting out.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2.
3.
3.5, 4.
Yeah. -5.
Really? Oh, you're that.
It's a failure. Like I know that the Rose Bowl. Beller, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit here, but if Wisconsin goes to the Rose Bowl, you're tap dancing.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
The greatest thing that's ever happened.
I'll lose to Andy Dalton. I'll lose 10 more Rose Bowls to Andy Dalton if it means we're in the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl. To 99% of the Big Ten teams is like the most amazing accomplishment a team can have. Ohio State's season concluded with getting their butts kicked by Michigan.
Yeah.
Not winning the Big Ten championship and now no longer going to the playoff. So it's like it's sunny in Pasadena.
I've got an OSU grad, like Cleveland-born OSU grad friend who lives in Los Angeles and is begrudgingly going to the Rose Bowl because he's just pissed off that they're not in the semis.
Yeah, like why? Like who wants to watch that?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like also too. Let's be honest, and like I know sports writers have to be all buttoned up and pretend like things are important, but like I'm not like that. Utah is such a boring opponent. It's like you go and play Utah, and it's like you lose, you're embarrassed, and if you win, you beat Utah. Like it's not like they're
UCLA, USC,
Oregon, or a team that's at least kind of even remotely sexy. And the thing that scares me if I were betting this game, and I'm not going to bet Ohio State. Even though I think that they're immeasurably better in every way. Utah is playing in the Super Bowl, and Utah is a physical, tough team that plays a lot like Michigan did or does, and Ohio State was too soft to beat Michigan. So, like, to me, that's kind of an alarm. And, like, I think it's kind of funny that the spread fell 2.5 points when Olave and Wilson opted out. Like that's like news. But also, if anybody's been paying attention to Ohio State, those two aren't even their leading receiver, and there's 3 other 5-star prospects, 2 of which were the top receiver in the recruiting classes, like playing in this game. One's name is Marvin Harrison Jr. And they're going to be like open. Like, those guys are legitimately really, really good, and it's going to be like a coming out party for the young stars that are going to be on ESPN's montage in the middle of next year.
Yeah.
So who do I think is going to win? I don't know, because I don't care, and neither does the teams that are in it. And like, I just like don't think I would bet. Like, as tempting as 4.5 is, because I do think that Ohio State's got so many better players. Like, Utah's a tough team. They're playing in this. This is going to be something that they hang a banner for, and Ohio State's just trying to get back to Columbus without injuring themselves.
I do think there's 2 things. I mean, you kind of hinted at the give a shit meter for the other replacement players is maybe more than your -5. So maybe some of those guys will look to impress and, hey, I'm going to be the new star. Yeah. You know, this is my coming out party.
If you think that having a good Rose Bowl is going to have an impact on their situation, I mean,
especially when Ryan Day is coaching the Chicago Bears next year.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Luke Fickell's looking for a new job, I hear.
Yeah. Leave one of the best jobs in college for one of the worst jobs in the NFL. Yeah.
Team him back up with Justin Fields.
I think a corn dog could coach the Chicago Bears better. So, like, I don't know. Anybody would be an improvement. So I would think about it if I were Ryan Day. I watched the Chicago Bears play football, and I'm like, do they realize this is organized football?
I
don't.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have to go down that tangent.
No.
I could spend Beller and I could waste 15 minutes on that.
Dan and I have spent a lifetime.
Are you guys Bears fans?
We are.
No, how could you do that to yourself?
Buddy, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I got you beat. The one thing I will say is beware of the opt-outs, because it's very easy to say, well, Ohio State's 2 best receivers aren't playing. Their defensive tackles not playing. One of their tackles isn't playing. It's just like, they have 5-star players at every single one of those positions ready to play. So they're going to have good players on the field, and 4.5 is just not very good. I mean, I think it's a good value for Ohio State, but it's hard to project what's going to happen.
DeWitt, OSU -4.5 against Utah. Who you taking, and would you actually bet it?
I'll take the under 64. I think Utah's defense is really good. I think they're tough. Like I already mentioned, they're a tough team. They're gonna show up. They're gonna want to keep Ohio State's offense under check if they can for a little while. I think Utah's offense is just like they're not very good at all. And I just think that Ohio State's defense, if they, whoever shows up starts for them that game, they'll show up on defense. They'll keep Utah on check. And I just think the under is a better bet at 64. And if I had to lean one way, I'd take Ohio State in 4.5. And I think Ari's gonna end up watching this game because he has nothing better to do, and then he's gonna be texting the group chat so angry at Ohio State that he didn't bet more when he bet them at live.
Well, it has been Ohio State's MO that in the past, whenever they've suffered a terrible loss that sucks the soul out of the team,
like a season crushing loss,
and they play Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl and win by 700. So I don't know. I just know one thing: I wouldn't be taking 4.5. I'm just if you want to do it, for fun, go ahead. But that would be, you might even be right, but it would just be awful to watch. Part of gambling is enjoying the game. Why would you bet?
Yes.
Why would you bet that and put yourself through the grinder?
Yes, absolutely. That is, yes, definitely. Dan, anything you like in this game? Actually, to bet?
No, I mean, I told you guys before the show I had a free bet and I basically just chucked it on Utah money line. If it was money I had to wager myself, I wouldn't have done it. But I was like, there's a chance Ohio State's give a shit is -5, like Ari said. But
you got great value on it because since it happened before the opt-outs, and now it's only +160.
Yeah, there you go. So I got 240 something, maybe. I don't know.
There you go. Beautiful. There we go. We'll all be pulling for you for sure. Really quick before we move on to the next game, let me drop in a word from our sponsor here. They're the presenting sponsor of Best on the Board. They are BetMGM. Right now, you can bet $10, win $200, plus get a year-long subscription to The Athletic at betmgm.com/TA-best. Again, that's bet 10, win 200. That's anything. Any bet you want to make, get it, bet it. Win $200 on your $10 bet, plus get a free year-long subscription to The Athletic at betmgm.com/TA-best. This is a new customer offer. Terms and conditions apply. All right, guys, let's talk about a game that I'm actually very interested in this weekend, and it is it is going to be. I just sort of say weekend naturally, but it actually is the weekend this year when these games are being played. Mississippi and Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. Mississippi 1-point favorites now. When I was first putting this together yesterday, probably about 24 hours ago, Baylor was -1, and now it's flipped over to Mississippi -155 is the over-under on this game. I think this is going to be a fun one. What are we looking at here, guys? I need you jump in, take it. What are we thinking about this one?
I like the under. I think Ole Miss has been a great under team. I know the number's still pretty low, but I still think it's a good under. Baylor is not a high-tempo, high-scoring team. We saw that in the Big 12 title game. Ole Miss is actually, believe it or not, despite having the reputation of a shootout team in the beginning of the year, usually is under this number, believe it or not, or around it at the very least. And you throw in Baylor, a team that's not going to run with them if it ever turns into a shootout. I like the under. Picking a side in this one seems, especially if it's a low-scoring game, that seems a little more volatile to me.
Yeah, just jumping on that, Ole Miss hasn't scored more than 31 points since October. So we were talking about how that offense was like a super shootout team, and they just haven't been that team lately. And I love Baylor's, run game. They're going to pound the ball and try and keep it away, and just how they won against Oklahoma State. So I think I like the under here too. They're not going to push the tempo at all. Ole Miss may try and push the tempo a little in the second half if they're trailing, but I like the under here too.
Yeah, anything we read into with the flip, 2-point swing in 24 hours from Baylor -1 to Mississippi -1. I don't really know. I don't think there's anything.
Does it make any less of a difference that it's just kind of like the same exact thing?
Well, yeah. It is. It doesn't.
That 2-point shift is less important to me than other 2-point shifts.
Yeah, well, for sure, sure. But it still happened. Is all I'm saying.
It did. Yeah.
But yes, a 1-point spread either way basically is a money line bet. That is definitely true. So it'd be interesting to see how the money was lining up on either side, how the bets were lining up, and if that is what's pushing these numbers in the direction that they're going in. I don't know. I think this is going to be a 1-point spread would suggest this. I think this is going to be one of the more competitive games of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day weekend that we get here. And obviously, I think we would expect that with a 1-point spread.
I also feel it's got like a little bit less excitement to it, maybe even just from what we're talking about too, our energy level dipped. Yeah. But I mean, obviously the one that we're probably not going to talk about is the Pittsburgh, Michigan State, because the marquee players aren't playing as far as New Year's Six games. But like just among the other New Year's Six games, like Ohio State, Utah is just such a weird matchup, because they're the team that doesn't care versus the team that wants to be there so badly. And then you get
the
this
Pittsburgh, Michigan State thing you just mentioned is hilarious because the best player on both teams is out.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's just like, okay.
So it's like a Music City Bowl or something. Yeah.
Yeah. How could you bet Pittsburgh without Kenny Pickett?
Right. Yeah.
Michigan State 2.5
Michigan State without.
I know, but I mean, it's he's their quarterback. He's their Heisman candidate quarterback. How do you possibly bet them even getting 2.5 points, which is what we're looking at?
Whenever I watch Michigan State, even when they were in the top 5, I feel like I'm watching a game in slow motion.
Yeah. Oh well, they were
like
they were sort of like when you were watching Michigan State when they were in the top 5. It was similar when you were watching Iowa when they were winning games where it was just like no matter what, you knew that there were losses coming. You knew there were like losses, multiple coming their way.
Yeah. I just feel like Michigan State should be in the Big Ten West.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means that the Big Ten West is slower and more boring. Like, that's exactly what it means. Like Michigan State, Wisconsin, they should group the Big Ten based on like style.
The Big Ten slow.
It's just like the slow division and the athletic division.
The problem is,
although there would only be 3 teams,
exactly. it'd be Ohio State would be by themselves, and then like Michigan and Penn State would be in a division together, and then everyone else.
I just feel like Michigan State, Wisconsin, Northwestern, like all these teams are just so similar to me. I don't know if that's like insulting or not, but
I mean, when you put Northwestern in there, it is a little bit.
Well, no, Northwestern, the team that's been in the Big Ten championship game like 3 out of the last 5 years. That Northwestern. I mean, good Northwestern, not Northwestern this year, but like peaking Northwestern is like slow, but hits you really hard and might beat you with 19 points.
Yeah, Trevor Siemian, Northwestern.
Yeah, that Northwestern. You're very familiar with that Northwestern. Don't play dumb with me.
Hey, Trevor Siemian started 4 NFL, honest to goodness, real life NFL games this season.
That's a statement on the NFL more than him. Northwestern.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to bring this up too. I know this was only supposed to be a 20-minute podcast, but I'm a motor mouth.
Yeah, keep going.
Ian Book starting an NFL game.
Yeah, a real life NFL game.
My buddy, it was hilarious because he sent me a text. He goes, "Dude, I know it's his first start, but I'm gonna hit Ian Book plus 230 to not throw a pick," and he threw a pick 6.
Oh my god! And that was the game. That was effectively the game right there.
Yeah, I had the Dolphins, so I felt good about it. But like, I do think it is remarkable how many crappy quarterbacks get to start a game in that league. Like when you think about how hard it would be to be one of the top 30 quarterbacks on the face of the earth, like the riffraff that ends up starting at some point. Like the Browns had Nick Mullins. Those guys had like 20 career starts.
They almost won a game. They pulled Nick Mullins off the street and almost won a game.
I understand. How does that guy have 20 starts? That's a whole season.
Yeah,
Josh
49ers.
Johnson. He threw for like 300 yards on Sunday. Didn't even know the playbook
people are getting cut in the middle of the year by the team that they're on, and then getting signed and starting somewhere else and throwing for 300 yards.
Yeah,
that league is bonkers, dude.
Look at just the Saints this year, who they've started. And they've started Trevor Siemian, Taysom Hill, and Ian Book.
No, but Taysom
all
Hill
started games.
Has like a max contract, and he can't even throw a 10-yard out route.
Oh my god, it's unbelievable.
Somebody gave that person a contract to be a quarterback in the league for multiple years.
Well, gave him a contract to be like a tight end / emergency quarterback / running back /
I thought the contract was very competitive to other quarterback deals.
Well, it was ridiculous, and I forget exactly how the language is in it and how everything is structured, but it's got to be among the most ridiculous.
It's all like incentivized towards the quarterbk. If he doesn't play quarterback, he gets paid like he's a backup tight end basically.
But he's
like a Cordell Stewart.
Quarterback. We're trying to. Okay, I don't know. I just sometimes I turn on an NFL game and I'll see a spread move. I'm like, who's playing quarterback? It's like obscure guy who was the 4th best player in the Big Ten 19 years ago is starting tonight. Okay.
Craig Krenzel, get him back in there.
Oh god,
let's do it.
Who's Trace McSorley making an NFL start next weekend?
You guys want to talk about the Fiesta Bowl?
Sure.
Notre Dame and Oklahoma State.
Do you want to talk about how they're giving away PlayStation 5s as the bowl gift? And how awesome that is? Yeah,
really?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wait.
Wow.
Is that like even a good gift now that with the new like rules? Because
With the
players are just
NIL?
getting cash now. So would you rather just have cash?
You got to be able to find a PS5. That's why it's a good
cash,
gift.
That's true.
Cash isn't worth enough to get a PS5 right now.
Oh my God. What do we think? And Notre Dame's 2.5-point favorites, 45.5 is the total. Anyone have a strong feeling on this game?
I do think that Notre Dame, for their give a shit meter, is probably pretty high right now.
It's got to be like a 10 out of 10.
I always use the Rudy comparison whenever I'm talking about enthusiasm, but it's like this is actually Notre Dame and their coach. Like everybody on that team feels like Rudy right now.
Yeah, right. The jilted lovers in Notre Dame.
Oklahoma State's a really good football team, though.
Yeah.
I think this game comes down to like Oklahoma State. Do they give a shit because they blew their chance to get in the playoff, or do they just not give a shit because they blew it and they just want to get out of there?
But there's a difference. There's a difference, though. There's some teams that expect to be in the playoff, and if they don't, their season's a failure. And there are other teams who play up to playoff contention, but just because they didn't make it doesn't mean that they don't care about their. Like Oklahoma State, if you would have told their fans, we're playing in the Fiesta Bowl in September, they'd be like, hell yeah.
Against Notre Dame.
What I mean? So like I think that's certainly something to take into account, but like I've never
this
seen
is like the second biggest game everyone on this team has played in their lives behind the Big 12 championship game.
Seen a team more happy to rally around their coach? And
than
like
Notre
at the
Dame.
college level, I think that matters a little bit.
Oh, I totally agree.
Because they just hated Brian Kelly. Like, did everyone just hate Brian Kelly? Like, he was just
nobody likes him. He's not a likable person. Like the rest of the entire, like you would think, like, oh my God, how did Notre Dame lose their coach? It's like, oh well, the entire team is ecstatic, and they just hired the guy that was, and then not a single assistant from Notre Dame went to LSU with him.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
that says everything you need to know about that coaching switch for sure. I like Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame in this game. I really do. I think that they're a slightly better team that is slightly more motivated in this matchup.
And Oklahoma State's defensive coordinator took another job, and he was like the best defensive coordinator in college football this year, or one of them. Yep.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about this one. Anyone else got a strong feeling about this game?
I'd lean Oklahoma State, but honestly, it's because I looked at our expert picks, and almost everyone went with Notre Dame, so I'm just going against the trend.
Ever the contrarian.
And I'm on Oklahoma State too. Then.
All right, let's get some more in here. Ari, any other games that we've got coming up? Any other game that you want to talk about? What
Dan,
is it?
I want you to talk about your game, the Purdue-Tennessee game, because the two best players on Purdue's roster is not playing at all.
Yeah,
George Karlaftis is out, and like David Bell's not playing. Like, can anybody name anybody else on their team?
I love this Tennessee play. I think it only moved
a point.
Yeah, it didn't move a lot. So I think it's still a pretty good number. Of course, this is one of those things. I think I got it. It's -6. I think I got it at 5.5, which barely matters at that point. But I think Tennessee. Now I've been a pretty big fan of Tennessee this year since I saw them just atomize Missouri in like 20 minutes of football. It was like 42-0 or something. And I think they played the best game Georgia's seen until Alabama. Maybe not the highest bar, as you mentioned. They blew everyone away, but I think Tennessee is actually a pretty good team. New coach, so maybe the slow start they had this year kind of explains it. I think they've been playing better. And who does Purdue have? David Bell is so good. Like if he's on Ohio State, we're talking about him in the same tier as Olave and these guys, but he's on Purdue. And he's put up some just monster games in their upsets this year. I don't see how they beat a good team without him.
Yeah, I think that's a strong call for sure.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Does anyone care about? And I'm talking about the teams. I'm not talking about us. Oklahoma and Oregon in the Alamo Bowl. What's the give a shit combined meter in this game?
I feel like Oregon should be higher, but
I mean, both have coaching changes, so I think that kind of makes it different. Fan give a shit meter is probably -5.
Yeah.
This is the flattest bowl season I can remember. I don't know if it's because of all the coaching changes or because the playoff matchups aren't sexy or because COVID is canceling every other game. But like this season, it's just like there's 5 games on the day that we're recording this on Tuesday, and I don't even know who's playing.
Yeah.
And I cover the sport for a living.
Minnesota's playing later today. You can catch that game.
I'm taking West Virginia.
You lost me a Big Ten team.
You should have taken not to rub it in here, but the Houston 2-1 hit.
I pushed it.
Then you pushed the other way. You would have nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm a gambling god, but like I'm a gambling god.
I am a gambling god. You're like Billy
I'll
Crudup
bet
on the roof and
2-1,
Almost
by
Famous.
the way, just so you know. Like if it's 2-1, I'm in. Like when you're like I'm looking at the live numbers right now, I like opened a new tab.
All right, Michigan 2-1 straight up against Georgia.
I'd take that.
There it is. That's how quickly it flips.
I'm a big value shopper.
Is there value?
I'm the type
is
of
there
person
value in something you think can't happen?
I'll buy something in the mall if it's on sale that I don't want.
Yeah, you're getting 3 copies of Time Cap for $9.98.
Yeah.
That sort of guy. Cincinnati against Alabama 2-1.
No.
Don't be crazy.
It's not 2-1. I mean, it is 2-1. What are the odds?
No, it's got to be
3-1 or 4-1.
Yeah, it's got to be like 4. About 4.
Yeah, 4-1. Yeah, nope.
Right.
It's
exactly
honestly,
plus
like,
400. Cincinnati plus 400.
Happen.
Michigan's plus 240. Ari, so if you're willing to take plus 200, plus 240 right now at BetMGM.
What my problem is, and Andrew said he was terrified of this. If he saw my balance sheet, I think his head would explode. If I see a team that is like Michigan is 2-1 right now, like my thought process is they're going to probably give up a touchdown early, and I'm going to be able to get 4-1. Like I always feel like I can every single college game. If you're leaning towards a side, if you're patient enough and you commit to that side at some point during the game, whether it's the third quarter or 5 minutes into the game, you will be able to get a better number or better odds.
Yep. I feel like you're probably actually right about that in like 95% of the time.
It's like maybe not so much it sucks if a team that you liked blows out the other team and it was never close. But that happens so rarely that it's worth the peril of that, And it's like if you are like me, who just sits with his shirt off in front of the television and with his gambling app open, and you have the patience for it. Like Dan, I used to message him all the time. Like, I like this game, but I'm not touching it. And then in the middle of the second quarter, I get 3-1 on the same bet.
I'm a full convert. I was going to say to Andrew, like you're afraid of live betting. You spend enough time with Ari, you'll be a full convert, man.
Here's the secret about live betting, because I've caught a falling knife with my bare hands a lot. And like, if you like something and you convince yourself you like the side, it's like buying a stock as it keeps going down.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself at a cutoff somewhere.
Yeah.
My idea is I like this side. I'm sticking with this side no matter what, because in my head, I bet it already. And then I find the spot that I want, and I only get one shot at it. So if I hit it, then I'm not going to hit it again if it gets better odds. Sometimes that causes me to wait till the third quarter, and I'm like watching the entire game, waiting for my spot, and then it doesn't come till there's like 9 minutes left, and then it's weird. But there's always a better spot. Always.
What's the live bet game of the week?
I think Alabama is the live game bet of the week.
Say that, yeah.
I think 14's a lot, and maybe the line. Like, I'm with Andrew a little bit when lines don't move when they should. It's weird.
Yeah.
But like if Cincinnati scores a weird touchdown in the beginning of the game and like Alabama goes out to be like -8 or -7, it's like, all right, boys, let's bring the troops in.
Yeah.
And I also don't feel bad. I don't feel as bad when I lose long shot bets as I do pregame bets.
Yeah, sure. Georgia, Michigan could be a fun live bet.
Yeah, like Georgia's going to go up 7-0, and then Michigan will be like 4.5 to 1.
It's fine either way. You can talk yourself into either way. It's a decent middle opportunity, especially
Sometimes
if you think
I'm
it's good
sick enough to go into a game not knowing what I like and just saying I'm going to bet the value on whoever scores first.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you think it is going to be that low scoring of a game and you like the under, there's going to be some middle opportunities for sure in Georgia, Michigan early.
That's the other thing with me too.
Yeah.
I also never can just be satisfied with a win. Like I bet the Cowboys game on Sunday night. And the second it was 21-0, I took the Washington football team plus 28.5. And I was like, there's no way I'm not hitting the middle on this thing. And then it was like I fell asleep and I woke up and it was like it was like Rutgers
40,
Ohio State on the
42
TV.
to 7. It was. I mean, that had that feeling. It totally
Yeah.
had that feeling, that Rutgers, Ohio State, Maryland sort of feeling to it. But yeah.
I also feel like with live betting, I don't know if you've noticed this too, Ari, but like, you know, we talked about props, like how that was a big thing where a lot of people did well on props and they took away more juice, basically. I feel like live betting is that bettor's edge right now, because I've watched that, especially when you go into a timeout, like when you're not behind the delay or whatever, and everyone can jump in and bet for like a minute or two, and you'll see the line jump around. And if you can get like a 3-point range when no game action is happening because the algorithm is reacting to how people are betting, like you can get a pretty significant edge without anything changing in the game. And as we know, like 2 or 3 points without any game state changing is a big deal. I feel like there are moments when you can kind of game the algorithm and get a better number.
Yeah. I mean, there are times
I wonder if that'll change over time.
When it comes up, it's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then you try to bet it and then it goes away before you can get it. Yeah. But yes, live betting to me is just like, if you're always constantly betting plus odds, gambling is easier to me. Like it's a stomach.
Yeah.
Like,
it's totally
like
different.
Beller's plays are always like minus 175 on my site. So it's like,
Well, you got to move to a
Alvin
state.
Kamara's going to have over 3.5 receptions in this game, minus 650.
You got to move to a state where you can get to the real world, man.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I kind of like not having to front the money up first, and there's another alley into my sick mind. You guys are losers for having to put the money in first. I got somebody texting me. Where's my money?
It does already feel like you're sort of at a loss once you've done that, and like you have to.
Yeah, once your money's out of your checking account, it doesn't.
Yeah, right. And then it's just in there.
I like to say I'm not paying unless I lose.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for this episode. We were supposed to go like 20 minutes. We ended up going 42 and counting. So I think we're going to call it an episode. We had fun doing it. You heard the laughing. Hope you had fun listening to it as well. For Ari Wasserman, Dan Santaramita, Andrew DeWitt, I am Michael Beller. Thanks so much for joining us here on Best on the Board, presented by BetMGM. Good luck this entire week. As always, we say happy betting. We'll talk to you soon.